Welcome to this episode of the Daily Soul Bytes show. I am your host, Bola Abimbola. This is a show where we interview expert authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs in the fields of spirituality, psychology, and leadership to share their insights for the expansion of collective consciousness. And today I have a very special guest all the way from Canada, Dr. Kristin Wild. Welcome, Dr. Kristin Wild.
Oh, hello, and thank you for having me all the way from England.
Yes, beautiful. Across the seas, but connected through the heart. That is beautiful.
100%.
That's how it's to be.
Absolutely. You got it dialed
in. Thank you, Kristin. So I'll read a bit of your bio before we start. So everybody who's listening will know who you are. Dr. Kristin Wild is an esteemed entrepreneur, health educator, and motivational speaker, recognized for her pioneering work in holistic health and autoimmune recovery. As the founder and director of Modern Health Solution, Dr. Wild has revolutionized the approach to chronic illness with a digital clinic that's considered the world's leader in holistic care for autoimmune conditions. Her innovative therapy, modalities, and comprehensive step-by-step programs have empowered thousands to reclaim their health and vitality. That is so powerful. Thank you so much for joining me today again, Kristin. So tell us really, how did you come to this place where you are tackling chronic illness from that very holistic point of view?
Well, I think like many people who have found their calling and purpose, it was through their own personal journeys and experiences. So I myself went through a 10-year experience through a disease called rheumatoid arthritis. And by the time it was at its worst point, I was told I needed 4 of my joints replaced. My organs were shutting down. I was diagnosed with other autoimmune conditions. And I just kept getting sicker and sicker no matter what I did. And then through a series of what seemed like miraculous events, things started to turn around. And now I'm very fortunate that I have this background. My education is in metaphysics, which means understanding the basic nature of things. So I chose to go the route of studying consciousness through the scientific lens. And that was actually the key and the piece that started to unlock these answers. From there, when I started getting well, I went back to school and I also took my psychology. So now it's a matter of that mind, body, and consciousness, and connecting all three and understanding that one cannot exist without the other. And so myself, and now I have an amazing, robust team of experts. We just keep getting stronger and better and deeper understanding. And ironically, the more you find out and the more evidence comes out about the existence of our consciousness and our soul and who we really are as beings, the more questions arise. So it's an endless journey.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Kristin. I think it's such a challenge for us when we encounter ill health, because this is one experience that allows us to stop, to pause. Because I really believe, I've come to understand that we are creating our experiences. We are creating the reflections that we see around us is really based on what consciousness is doing within us. So when I have also been there where I'm really trying to tackle, my health different. It's almost like, 3 things come at once, or 4 things come at once. You get one diagnosis, then 2, then 3, then it get kind of. So it's something that really catches our attention, and it could take us up or it could take us down. And I do appreciate when I meet another person, another expert who has gone through that, and they have come up with not just recovery, but they've now come up with really unique ways of not only going beyond their own limitations, but also helping others. So I am really encouraged and inspired by what you have gone through. and how you are now working with experts. And I'd love to know a bit more about your work, because it sounds like a very interesting and powerful set of modalities that you work.
Yes, well, that's it. Is kind of we would kind of just have gone outside of the box, and as history tells, when you are willing to know the truth for the truth's sake, you find it. And so, essentially, healing comes from the inside out. And no matter what we do and the protocols we add, it's an inside job. And essentially, what myself and the people I work with, we hand people the tools, but they're going to use it in their own way. If you've ever heard the expression, there's 1,000 ways to use a hammer, it is really an individual experience going through healing and deciding and choosing that. And at the same time, even though every person's experience looks different, the feelings are the same. So you can see where people are at each stage of the healing process. And truthfully, the only reason any of us are suffering from mental illness or physical illness is because we are out of alignment with who we authentically are. We've removed ourselves so far from who we genuinely and authentically are that we get sick. It's a natural side effect. So then when we come back into alignment with who we genuinely are, and we're willing to seek that, we're willing to admit, denial's an amazing coping mechanism until it's not. And so when we're willing to come out of that denial and really take responsibility and accountability for the situation we're in and exit that victim loop or the victimizer loop, that's where healing happens. And so it happens psychologically. And then we will make different decisions to how to care for ourselves physically. And then what naturally happens is you become more spiritual.
That's powerful. I love the way you said it's a natural progression from when we actually discover that we are going through something that is unexpected. It's an unknown place. Mm-hmm. And when we are in this unknown place, we are called to become much more familiar with who we truly are. And that's really what my book is about. Daily Soul Bytes. Daily Soul Bytes is really talking about the different perspectives that we have within us. So we tend to have, a lot of us sometimes think, whatever I'm going through, whatever perspectives I'm holding, whatever thoughts I have, there is no other choice. That's the only thing I can think. That's the only thing I can perceive. But there's so much choice. This universe is a universe of choice and alignment. And so my book, Daily Soul Bytes, talks about different perspectives of the physical ego mind and perspectives of the higher mind. And that is a spiritual path. So it really is what you're talking about, that we are called on that spiritual journey. And this is what we have all come to do, to know who we truly are. And there's something that Carl Rogers says. He talks about how it is only when we truly accept ourselves that we can truly, truly change. So there is a journey. There is a journey that we are called to go through when we come to that place of healed health, to that place. It's almost like a natural telephone conversation that our higher self is having with us. It's like, hello, are you going to come to know who I am? So I do love that when you say it's a unique journey. If you could just take us through how you work with your clients, that perspective would be really helpful.
Sure. And so essentially, maybe something to add as to how a healing experience works before we do that is, this isn't just the chronic illness. It is overcoming those traumatic relationships we keep finding ourselves in. And all of those aspects are healing. So essentially, what I assist with is helping people discover their own power and realizing it. And so no matter what it is that they need to overcome. And so I've been working with women and children escaping domestic abuse for the last 20 years. And the process is exactly the same coming through that as it is of overcoming a chronic condition. So, it's really, I started with a program, and this program is very robust and it's huge infrastructure. So it was a position where I charged $6,000 for this program. They have access for life. We never let go of each other. Everyone loves each other so much. And so, it's an amazing program because it does give affordable holistic care. And also some people, it was outside of reach for them. So we've had to adapt in a way that makes healthcare accessible to everyone. So now we've opened programs. One specific one where we've just opened, because it's absolutely the favorite of our program participants, is called Flip the Script. So we are opening a group program that is complimentary, and we learn how to master our thoughts, because thoughts become things. Our healing and our spiritual connection comes from clearing the channel. So our thoughts literally release neurochemicals into our body, informing our cells of what state we're in, and our body responds to that physically. And so when we're releasing neurochemicals that are health producing, it helps clear those cells out and clear that channel. And therefore it creates this upward spiral instead of the downward spiral. So we have a complimentary program for that. And that's the most amazing foundation for people to start, because when we learn to master our mind and master our thoughts and know the truth for truth's sake and seek that higher consciousness, that is the first step. So we offer that to people so that they can start engaging in their own healing. It's like no one's doing it for you, but you could definitely have that support, because you don't know what you don't know. You can't see the forest through the trees. And sometimes you need someone who's a little bit further down the path to go, hey, how about this instead? And so we do that. I also recently reopened my private practice. I went through an experience where I was offered the world. I was offered to help create a private healthcare system in my country and be the CEO of the company. And, for a long time, not a long time, for 6 months, I thought, this is for the higher good of people. And the further I got into it, the further disconnected I got from my own heart, because this is where we are, heart to heart. These conversations, the one you and I are having right now, this is where the healing happens. So when we're meeting people and seeing them and being directly connected to them, that's where the healing happens. So I've reopened my private practice, which hasn't been open for years, and so that I can really connect with people, and I'm charging standard market rates instead of being like, if you want to work with me, it's $1,500 an hour. Well, no, that's just no, because so many people too are, one of their journeys is overcoming the financial burdens. That's a spiritual aspect. So this is why healing addresses all aspects of life. It's not just one thing. It's everything. And that can be very overwhelming.
Yes, truly.
Yes.
So how do you work with your clients?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this new way that you have developed.
Yes, we still have our amazing program. So that is an infrastructure that is so well positioned. Everyone gets the support they need, that personal, individualized care. And then they have the opportunity to work with me one-on-one if they book through my private practice, which last time I had a private practice, I had a 3-month wait list when I decided to move into the program only. So, but it isn't a good opportunity. And then also, yes, our complimentary programs. And we're also starting another complimentary series that people can enroll in dissolving those toxic relationships. Because, if we think of a plant, if you put it in a pot, it's going to grow so big, right? If we plant it directly into the earth, it can grow indefinitely. And so it's our environment. It's the relationships we choose to be in. It's, what is making our heart soar? Are we in alignment with that? Because no matter the work you do and the efforts you put in to heal and grow and overcome, if you are in a toxic relationship there's no boundaries in place and there's no sovereignty or autonomy, you won't get better.
Oh, true. I agree. I think the really interesting thing I find is really as as a coach myself, as an energy practitioner myself,
Mhm.
is that we can only teach what we know. We can only support with what we know. And then that information is taken on by those who resonate with us, and they can use it in any way that suits them. But we can only share what we have been through. So every journey is unique. And I would love, for those who are watching this right now, I would love to just give an example. If you could give an example of the kinds of clients that come to you
Mhm.
and what they can expect when they work with you.
Sure. Yes. So the people that we end up working with, you do have to apply to be part of our full program because you have to be ready. So the type of person we work with is the person that has hit that point where they are just so ready. You know, they have that sense of, I will do what it takes. And I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I need to do. So long as it's in alignment with, with my values and morals, I will do it because that's what it takes. You have to do it like it's your job because it is. It's really unlearning and relearning a whole new way of existence. And the other side of this struggle, it's like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. You got to turn into goo into the cocoon first. It's like the other side of that struggle is so glorious. So the type of person that will come in is the person that goes, yes, I am so ready. And from there, it's the person that's coachable and teachable. So we've helped hundreds of people now overcome chronic conditions. So it's one of those things. The process itself is proven, but the only way to fail is to quit. So the type of person that comes in is someone who has that tenacity and is like, I'm going to do this no matter what. They have a drive and they want to live their purpose and they're ready to step into their mission, their ordained mission, I call it, because this is what happens is it's like turning up the dimmer switch. So that's what we do with people. We work with them step by step, and we don't know what aspect they want to work on first. Some people have so much stored anger and they need to move it and they don't know how, or they're in a relationship that is just so volatile. They need to put in those support places so that they can have a container to even have the ability to think about healing, and other people, what they care about most is nutrition. So it's every aspect, and they get to choose their own adventure, and we support them because once you master one aspect, you've done it. You know it, you get it, and now you can move on to the next aspect. So that's one tiny step at a time, and that's why it takes dedication. So that's how we work with people, is a step-by-step process. It's so individualized. And again, but the feeling is the same. It's like that empathy and compassion for where people are at and what they're stepping through. It's like, yeah, been there.
What would you consider to be, for those who are listening, what is your definition of a chronic condition?
A chronic mental health piece is actually the chronic condition for many people, because they've been either repetitively victimized, and then they will either it depends on the personality of the person. So there's, in my opinion, if we take it down to basics, because of course there's so many nuances and details within people, but when we take it down to basics, there's two types of people on this planet that need to learn lessons. One type of person needs to learn that other people exist. They tend to be the one who victimizes others and then play victim to themselves. They don't realize that other people exist, that they matter, that what they do and say affect others. Then we have the person that needs to learn that they exist. They will be the victim of others and victimize themselves. And both of these things are two sides of the same coin. One causes more psychological and physical damage outwardly, but one is happening inwardly, and it's exactly the same thing. So really, when it comes to chronic conditions, we have chronic depression, chronic anxiety, and we have autoimmune conditions, so many. So that's inflammation, brain fog, pain in the body. and, just this paralysis and inability to do what you need to do, because it's really all comes down to traumatization. And that's such a buzzword, and it's used in so many different contexts, but it really is what it is. And it's stepping out of that and saying, no, I'm going to take full accountability. And sometimes you need help with that, because when we're trying and attempting to clear this channel, the mind itself, it's like trying to fix the tool with the tool. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you need someone from the outside, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be me. There's plenty of people. It's like whoever resonates with you and you trust and it feels right, ask them. I have my own support and people that help me with that, because I don't see the forest through the trees all the time either. We all have our things. As we evolve, more aspects come up to heal.
It's a never ending journey. And yes, thank you for clarifying that, because it's really about, knowing what, those who are resonating with what you're saying, just clarifying whether they're a fit for what you offer. And I think that's important, because there are some modalities that we used last year which may not really be working this year. And it's about that openness. This is what I'm going through, and this is who I know, I feel, because sometimes it's really about a gut feeling. This is somebody who I know I'm ready to work with now. So that's really powerful. Now, if somebody has, say, chronic inflammation, pain, because pain is such a deal breaker,
It is your greatest teacher, and oh my gosh, it's because you can't ignore it. You can't. Yes. I lived in a human torture chamber for a decade, and it doesn't end. It's relentless.
Now, those who are going through pain, Kristin, what are a few strategies or tips that you would give starting out? Yeah. What are some of the things because usually, every teacher, every coach, every healer has particular ways of working, particular steps, and some are very similar. But I'd love you to share, what are some of the initial steps that you would want to advise or share for those who may be going through pain at this time?
That is such a great question. And I would love to give anyone and everyone an opportunity to really step into it. It's something that worked for me, and I've seen work for so many others and be effective, is two things. And that we want to keep it as simple as possible, because when you're dealing with this, your alarm bells are constantly going off, this fight or flight. So we want to keep it super simple. One is take it 10 seconds at a time if you need to. If you're in it, bring yourself back into alignment and reset yourself every 10 seconds if you need to, like it's your job. It's come back to the present moment, come back to the present moment, come back to the present moment. And this will help to reprogram and rewire the brain, because repetition is what rewires the brain. An adult brain, that's how it works. We need to learn something over and over and over till we get it. And one of our coaches, Jay, she's so awesome. She will say, the hammer keeps getting harder. So it's like, if you're not learning those lessons, that hammer is going to get harder until you finally crack. So if we bring ourselves back to this present moment over and over and over, we're going to train our brain to live there, because what happens is anxiety is fear of the future. When we have anxiety, we're fear of what's going to happen next. When we have depression, we're either lamenting or romanticizing the past. And so if we bring ourselves in the present moment, neither of those can exist there. And that will help to stabilize the mind. And so that's very simple, just back to the present moment. Pay attention to your surroundings, where you're at, who you're listening to, and truly be involved. And that's why I say you have to do it every 10 seconds, because your mind's going to go, wee, because that's what it does. And left unchecked, that mind, it will take over, because it's the one that talks the most. And so that's the one thing. The second is this: watch how you talk to yourself. Start observing it. So it's interesting you brought up Carl Rogers. I also have done a lot of studying in terms of Carl Rogers' work. Awareness in and of itself is curative. In fact, the therapy modality that I created. It's called awareness therapy because of Carl Rogers' work. And so when we are aware of how we're talking to ourselves, because often people who are seeking help, they're in that category of they need to learn they exist. They're the ones that are self-victimizing. They took over for whoever caused them harm when they were younger or even currently. And now they take over that job and they start criticizing, putting themselves down, And so what you would want to do is start talking to yourself like you are a toddler, a 3-year-old child. It's okay, sweetheart. That's a mistake. You didn't do that on purpose. You don't want to hurt somebody. You know that. And so forgive yourself, make amends in any way you can and forgive yourself. And you'll do different next time. And it's like, look yourself in the mirror, start looking yourself in the mirror and tell yourself what you're proud of yourself for. And this stuff may seem like, okay, well, it works. So you might as well do it. No one's looking, okay? No one's looking over your shoulder. Just go do that when you're totally alone and start talking to yourself differently and just see what happens. No one will even know you're doing it. So you might as well have this fun experiment and just see how it goes.
That's so interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that, Kristin. Because I think those 2 tips are very powerful. Being present and showing ourselves love. And it's developing that attachment to our own self. Because a lot of the times we've suffered some kind of trauma. And we've all been there. We've all had heartbreaks. I don't think anybody comes from childhood into adulthood without some degree of heartbreak. And really love, I have come to understand that love is really what changes us. Love is really what expands us. We have to come to a place where that inner child feels safe, feels secure, feels loved. So I really, really resonate with that. And the staying present, because sometimes we think we can go from being negative to neutral, because that is what the present state is, the state of neutrality, a place of no judgment, and it's a place of infinite possibilities. So this is really something that I know we have to practice, because we can't just go from negative, being consumed and embedded in negative thoughts to that present place. We have to align to positivity. And it's like a pendulum. So you're going from negative to positive, and then you go to and fro, and then you slowly come to that center. And I love what you said about it being a practice, because you have to continue to swing to and fro until it becomes a familiar place, a place of stillness. And this is why I love Ramana Maharshi, because that's what I read his book, Who Am I, when I was 18. And it really talks about the higher self and the lower self and about stillness. How stillness is where the higher self dwells in, that place of infinite wisdom. And I love the fact that it's one of the things that you advise and you give us, you share as an insight to really move away from pain, because that inflammation, it may seem like it's matter, but as an energy healer, I know it's just energy that is not aligned to source. So it's very interesting when we begin to see ourselves as energy beings, and we come to realize that some of the ailments we have are really just about disordered energy. And the more we can come to align, whether we come to that present space, whether we're showing ourselves love, we're changing the frequency of what we are vibrating at. So thank you for sharing that. And I would love to know really some of the things that you would advise for those who are wanting to experience that peak performance in their day-to-day. What are the kind of 2-3 things you would say that would really support those who are coming towards the end of their healing journey? When I say the end, they are now at a place where they're beginning to feel a sense of relief. They have been through the kind of, because there's always that place where phew, at last I feel some sense. How do we maintain it? How do we maintain that spell of good health, that spell of well-being? How do you advise your clients, or those who are listening, to stay in that place of alignment to source, of good health, of stillness? How do you advise your clients to do that?
I would love to answer this. That's such a great question. And it's really interesting that you asked this question right now, because I am personally coming into that stage in my life. So it's funny how you talk about we can teach that which we've learned, but we also teach that which we are still learning. And so this is the thing, is we are all peers. There's some aspects I've mastered. There's some aspects you've mastered. And now many of us are coming into this place where we've mastered enough aspects that we have this sense of stability. And, the reality is, if you've reached that point, you know what to do. You already know, but it is nice to get some extra tips from other people. So from a physical point of view, I'm going to tell you, grounding sheets changed my life. I had known the research and known the science about them for over 10 years. And I'm embarrassed to say that I never splurged and spent the money to buy myself grounding sheets, earthing sheets. It's something you can look up. The research is there. The science is there. It is so good. And the biggest thing with maintaining is to keep building your belief system, because our belief system creates our reality. So it's like continuing that hygiene, that spiritual hygiene, the physical hygiene, and the mental hygiene. I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, he said, people say to me, motivation doesn't last. And I said to them, well, neither does a bath. So that's why we recommend it daily. So it's consistency in that care for yourself. And the thing is, when you get to a certain level of awareness, you go, and when you start coming out of alignment, you go, oh, okay. And you'll be able to bring that awareness. The biggest thing that I've noticed and has really come to me, and this is maybe something that you would relate to as well. Often when people are very powerful and strong and have been through a lot, and they're the ones that hold space for everyone else, they don't ask anyone else for support. They act as a singular pillar. And even when things are going well, we are meant to be in community. We are meant to support each other. We are meant to collaborate. This is what we came here to do. We are all at different aspects of source that come together to create this new earth, I'll call it, because that's where we're at. We're in the death throes. It's chaotic out there, but it's just mosquitoes. They are annoying. They might sting you a time or two, but you're not going to die. So let's stay focused and connected. So that's the and only piece that for myself I've had to really learn is, involving other people and allowing them to live out their purpose and what they're supposed to do, and collaborating with them. I don't have to do this by myself. Healing is an inside job, but we get to do it together.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, you're right. It's a toolkit. Having that toolkit and knowing, because I always say that it's not that we are actually, when we're going up and down, it's not that we're staying in one line. Each time we go up, we go higher. And each time we come down, we don't go down as low as we did.
Yes.
Because we now have certain tools that we're using. So there's always the ups and downs. It never ends. But we actually come to a line much, much faster each time, because we now have the tools and we can stay present. We can use whatever. There are 8 billion, billions of modalities out there. And staying open and being self-aware. I always think self-awareness. I have a program that's called the Smith Emotional Mastery Program. And it's really about gathering our sense of awareness, being aware of the beliefs. I totally agree with you. The beliefs that we hold really create that reflection. And knowing that we can be aware of those beliefs, can be aware of the thoughts, of the sensations, whether they're low, whether they're high, and how we want to align and what we want to do, how we want to show love to those lower perspectives. So it's a practice, and it's a way of life, a way of being, a new way of being, a new earth. I love it. I love it. That's so powerful. Thank you so much, Kristin. And I do want to know if you could share with us where people can find you when they want to connect with you. Where are you based?
Sure. I have two websites, modernhealthsolution.com. So that's where if people are seeking those services and support, they can find that there. And then I also have another website, drkristinwild.com. And that has more of all the different things I'm involved in and doing if people would like to connect. And I'm all about connecting with people and hearing their story, and because you just never know what's going to happen. and so yes, people can find me and reach me through those avenues. You can also just Google my name and all kinds of stuff shows up. So you can go on your own rabbit hole.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you have any final words today before we go?
Yes, it's really take it easy on yourself. What we were going through as a collective and humanity is not for the faint of spirit. And remembering that very powerful spirits came and incarnated at this time. And this is not the time where we play small anymore. No, it must step into your power and no harm will come to you. There was a time where it wasn't safe to stand in your power and say the truth. That time is over. So stand in it, because it is what will change the world. And loving energy, that authentic, integrous, seeking the truth for truth's sake energy is exponentially more powerful than this forceful brute energy. And so you are doing your part by coming into alignment with your light. You could go hide in a cave for the rest of your life. If you are in alignment with your light and raising your vibration, you are impacting this planet and all the beings on it in a way that is so profound that it's unfathomable by the human mind. But don't worry, you'll see it when you pop out of this body. It's whatever that is. And it's just, it's the time. We're here. It's time.
Yeah. It is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
Yes, and that is so encouraging. Thank you for joining me today, Kristin.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you for creating this platform and this avenue and channel of connection. Yeah, I am so grateful. I know what it's like on the inside of creating something like this. So there's a ton of blood, sweat, and tears that have gone in this. I can guarantee it. So I so appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Kristin. And I do want to thank those who have joined us today and to ask you to check out Dr. Kristin Wild's websites and her programs. They're phenomenal. They're really meant to take us from that place of pain into freedom. And there's nothing else that we've come to do than to really embrace that freedom of choice and authenticity in our day-to-day. And I also ask you to subscribe to Daily Soul Bytes show. This show will always have new episodes on Wednesdays, and to also grab my book, Daily Soul Bytes. And it's available anywhere books are sold online. And this is now available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. You will definitely enjoy it when you read it. It will take you to another level of self-awareness and understanding. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you a lovely day. See you next time. Bye-bye.